In this episode of PassFCE, we have a full speaking test for you. An oral exam with FCE students Tatiana and Nacho. Hello and welcome to PassFCE, a Mention Inglés podcast specifically created to help you pass the Cambridge First Certificate in English exam. Hi, I'm Craig. I'm a teacher at the British Council in Valencia, Spain. I'm a Cambridge oral examiner with over 20 years of teaching experience. You can learn English free at our website, mentioningles.com, and take your English to the next level with our audio podcasts at inglespodcast.com. Before you send me an email and say, "But Craig, last episode you said you were going to speak about the writing paper." Yes, I know I said that, but here's the thing. Tatiana, who is in my FCE class, is taking the exam in March, which is like now. At the moment I'm recording this, we are in March. And most of my class will probably take it in June this year. So they have a little time to practice the speaking. But I suggested that Tatiana practice a full speaking test, and I obviously want to publish this podcast before she takes the exam so that she can hear it and improve her speaking even more. So, I'll speak about the writing paper next episode, in episode 10. The other student who you're going to hear today is Nacho, who agreed to be Tatiana's partner for the test. And Nacho is taking the exam in June. So, let's begin with part 1 of the test. In part 1, the examiner asks you general questions about things like your family, where you live, your home, your job or your studies, maybe about your hobbies, holidays that you have had or holidays you're going to have, your future plans, etc. Obviously, he or she will also ask you your name and where you're from. Now, this part 1, lasts for about 2 minutes. So try to relax, be friendly, and smile. Here's Nacho and Tatiana doing part 1 of the speaking test. Hello, good afternoon. My name's Craig and this is my colleague Jonathan. And your names are?
My name's Tatiana.
And my name is Nacho.
Thank you. Can I have your mark sheets, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. So, Tatiana, where are you from?
I'm from a little town called Catarroja, which is near Valencia.
Thank you. And you, Nacho?
Well, I'm from Valencia. I live in a near town, but I'm from Valencia.
Thank you. So, first we'd like to know something about you. So, Tatiana, how do you like to spend your weekends?
I like to spend my spare time listening to music, going to see or visit museums, and also reading or something like that.
Thank you. Nacho, tell us about a place you like to go with your friends.
Well, the place I like to go with my friends is the sports center, where we do lot of different sports.
Thank you. Tatiana, do you like cooking?
Oh, I love cooking. Yes.
What kind of things do you like to cook?
I'm normally I used to cook traditional food like rice or paella or something like that.
Thank you. Nacho, do you prefer to watch TV or use the internet?
I prefer to use the internet.
Nacho, what do you like to use the internet for?
Well, I use the internet for watching TV series and reading.
Thank you. Tatiana, are you going to do anything special this weekend?
No, not special, not especially. I have to work and maybe read something.
Thank you. Well, I thought that Tatiana and Nacho did part 1 very, very well. They sounded relaxed and natural. Although they were speaking into a microphone, they sounded very natural. They answered all the questions well. Nacho said, I live in a near town, but it's better to say, I live in a town quite near here, or I live in a town near here, or close to here. And Tatiana said, I used to cook traditional food like rice, but I think Tatiana wasn't speaking about the past. I think she was speaking about a present habit, something that she usually, regularly does. So maybe it would be better to say, I usually cook traditional food, or I often cook traditional food. So before you do your speaking test, make sure you know how to talk about your job or your studies in English. How do you say your profession or your course of study in English? Do you know? Can you talk briefly about a hobby you have or something new you would like to take up, start doing, like a sport, for example? You might be asked about a film you've seen, a book you've read, maybe a party you've been to, and you may be asked about things you're planning to do in the future. Don't learn long sentences and repeat them like a parrot. For example, I'm from Valencia, which is the 3rd largest city in Spain and has a population of 900,000. No, don't do that. Don't learn things and just repeat them. The examiner will know, and the examiner will stop you and ask you a different question. So make sure you have the vocabulary to speak about your job, your hobbies, your family, etc. But don't learn sentences in advance. Moving on to part 2 of the speaking test. Part 2 lasts for about 4 minutes. And you have to speak about 2 photographs and then make a comment about your partner's photographs for about 30 seconds. If you don't understand the question, ask for repetition. This gives you a few seconds to think also. So you could say, I'm sorry, could you repeat that please? Or would you mind repeating the question? But don't do this too often. You have to compare the photographs, which means speak about the differences and or the similarities in the photographs. I suggest 3 stages to this part. Stage number 1, compare. Stage number 2, answer the question. Stage number 3, personalize. And you can remember that by CAP, CAP. Compare, answer, personalize. Compare the photographs, answer the question the examiner asks, personalize to you, make it personal to you. And keep speaking until the examiner stops you. Let's listen to Tatiana and Nacho doing part 2 of the test. So, in this part of the test, I'm going to give each of you 2 photographs. I'd like you to talk about your photographs on your own for about a minute, and also to answer a short question about your partner's photographs. Tatiana, it's your turn first.
Okay.
Here are your photographs. They show people who are doing different things in the evening. I'd like you to compare the photographs, please, and say what the people are enjoying about doing these things in the evening. All right?
Okay. In the first one, there is a man who is fishing, and so I think he's a man who enjoys the quiet life, and I think it's nice. I'm not feeling to fishing, but I think it's quite nice. And the second one, I think it's a photo which shows people which like spend their time with friends, because it's people they are in a bar, I think, in a pub, and I don't know. I think I prefer maybe this one because it's more funny. And no, I think it shows kind of nice evening.
Thank you. Nacho, which of these things would you prefer to do in the evening?
Well, as Tatiana said before, I would prefer to go to the pub or the bar and spend my time with friends there.
Thank you. So, Nacho, now it's your turn. Here are your two photographs, and they show people spending time in the city in different ways. I'd like you to compare the photographs, Nacho, and say why you think the people have chosen to spend their time in these ways. All right?
Excuse me, could you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. I'd like you to compare these photographs, Nacho, and say why you think the people have chosen to spend their time in these ways.
Okay, thank you. Well, in the first picture, we can see a group of boys playing basketball in a basketball court in the middle of the city, which is surrounded by big buildings. In the second picture, we can see different Asian people which are in the market, so maybe they are doing shopping. I don't know. I think the first one is more attractive because they are playing a sport in the middle of the city, and the second one is quiet and boring.
Thank you. Tatiana, do you enjoy spending your free time in the city?
Yeah, I enjoy it very much because I love shopping, and I love spending my time with my friends and with my sister, maybe in a coffee shop or something like that. So I disagree with Nacho a little bit.
Thank you. Did you notice that Nacho asked me to repeat the question? I suspect he wanted a second or two to think. Now, this is okay, but don't ask the examiner to repeat the question too many times, because this may be you're not understanding the English and your listening is below the level of the exam. And remember, keep speaking until the examiner stops you. Remember, CAP. Compare the photographs, answer the question, personalize. Compare what are the differences and similarities in the photographs. Number 2, answer the question that the examiner asks you. If you have more time, if your 60 seconds haven't finished, make it personal. Say, I prefer this photo because, or I prefer this situation because, or I don't like this photograph because, and give a reason. Also, listen to your partner. When you have to comment for 30 seconds on your partner's photos, you can say, for example, I agree with Nacho or I agree with Tatiana because, and then give a reason. If you remember, Nacho said, well, as Tatiana said before, I would prefer, so he listened and he commented on Tatiana's opinion. Here are one or two comments on their speaking. I like Tatiana's expression, I think it's a photo which shows. I think it's a photo which shows fishermen, for example. But when she said, I'm not feeling to fishing, I think it could be improved by saying, I'm not keen on fishing, or I don't like fishing very much. I liked Nacho's expression when he said, a basketball court in the middle of the city which is surrounded by big buildings. Wonderful sentence. But he said, Asian people which are in the market. Should have been who. So Asian people who are in the market. Who for people, which for things. It's very difficult not to make these small mistakes in the speaking. You have to think quickly, you have to try to be fluent, but try to be as accurate as you can. And if you hear yourself make a mistake, correct it immediately. For example, if you say, the people is shopping, say, sorry, I mean the people are shopping. Because if you correct yourself immediately, the examiner understands that you know the mistake, you know the grammar. Okay, let's move on to part 3 and part 4, which together are about 7 minutes long. So in part 3, you have to give your opinion and ask your partner's opinion. You can use expressions like, for asking opinion, what do you think? How about you? Do you agree? Do you think it's a good idea? What's your opinion? And when you give opinion, you can use expressions like, in my opinion, I think we should, as far as I'm concerned. On the other hand, I think that, from my point of view, remember, you don't have to agree with your partner. You can agree or disagree. So if you want to disagree with your partner, you can say something like, I don't think so because, or I'm sorry, but I don't agree because, or yes, but maybe it would be better if we, or I can't agree with you because. If you want to agree with your partner, you can say, I agree, I agree with you. You can agree very strongly. You can say, I completely agree with you, or I totally agree with you, or I absolutely agree with you, or I'm 100% in agreement with you. That's using agree as a noun. I'm in agreement with you. Be careful with agree, because many people make the mistake of saying I'm agree. That's wrong. It's I agree. It's a verb. I agree, or I'm in agreement with you. You can also say that's right, or that's true. I couldn't agree more. Sounds nice. I couldn't agree more with you. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Remember, after 2 minutes, you have about 1 more minute to decide something. Now let's see how Tatiana and Nacho do the final parts of the test. Now I'd like you to talk about something together for about 2 minutes. Here are some modern inventions and a question for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the task. Now, talk to each other about why these inventions are important to our everyday lives.
Okay, would you like to start, Nacho?
Okay. I think the internet is probably the most important invention in our daily lives because we can find whatever in this invention. What do you think about?
I agree because I think before the internet we had another kind of life, absolutely different. But maybe mobile phones is another great invention in our everyday lives. What do you think about it?
Yes, I'm with you, and I think that the last mobile phones that are designed have the possibility to connect to the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two inventions shared in only one.
Yeah, I think so.
That make it better. And
but let's move on to the refrigerator. For example, I think it's a great invention too, and I absolutely I think it's another kind of life because we couldn't eat as we do without the refrigerator.
Yes, in fact, it will be very difficult to live without a refrigerator in our houses.
Yeah, of course.
It makes our life easier.
Yeah, I think so.
And what do you think about washing machines?
Yeah, the same thing, just the same thing. Yes, for my mom, who hadn't washing machines when she was young, it was very, very difficult to do the clothes, to make the clothes clean.
I think that my mom thinks the same way that yours.
Of course.
Washing machines helps to do things quicker.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To keep clean clothes in a better way than than the most traditional ones.
Yeah, I agree.
And the last one, aeroplanes are probably another of the most important invention in our daily lives.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Thank you.
Okay.
Now you have about a minute to decide which two inventions you think it would be most difficult to live without.
In my opinion, the refrigerator is one of the most important without any doubt. I think our lives, without them, were very, very different.
And the other one you will choose?
The internet. The internet, yeah.
Well, so I agree with you up to a point because I consider the internet as one of the inventions which really have changed our routines and our world. And the other one probably will be the mobile phones because of the possibility to be in contact, to keep contact with other people.
No, I understand you. I think mobile phones are quite important too. But I think the refrigerator it's so necessary that I know if
all of them are necessary for our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tatiana, what do you think is the most important invention for your family?
For my family, maybe the internet. Maybe the internet because we're traveling a lot. So I think we can keep the contact. Thanks to the internet, so I think it's we are so close that it's a very, very important invention for us.
Thank you. Nacho, do you think that mobile phones are becoming too popular these days?
I don't think so. I think they are popular nowadays. They are not becoming to be popular. They are popular.
So you think they are too popular?
Yes, they are so popular, so popular.
Why do you think that is?
Because probably everyone has one mobile or more, and they use every day and check their mail and WhatsApp and other things.
Thank
constantly.
you. Thank you. Tatiana, which way do you prefer to travel?
I prefer the car. I'm a traditional person, but I prefer the car. I feel more safety in a car that for example in a plane. I don't know why, but it's that's it. It's like that.
Okay. What about you, Nacho? What way do you prefer to travel?
Well, as Tatiana said, I will prefer the car because of the safety and the comfortable.
Nacho, what way do you think technology will develop in the future?
Well, it cannot be imagined how technology will be in the future. We are living, or these last decades have been very improving the technologies, so we cannot advance what will be happen.
Tatiana, what do you think?
I think I agree with Nacho because I think I can't imagine how much can improve technology, the high tech we have nowadays. So I can't imagine that, but I hope the improvements were get better our lives. So I don't know.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's the end of the test.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I think they both did those parts very well indeed. Nacho had some very good language. He said, for example, the internet is probably the most important invention in our daily lives. He also used a nice expression to agree with Tatiana. Do you remember what he said? I'm with you. He said, yes, I'm with you. I'm with you means I agree with you. You can say, I'm with you there, or I'm with you on that point. He also said it makes our lives easier. To make something easy, it makes our lives easier. And he agreed a little by using a lovely expression, I agree with you up to a point. He said, I agree with you up to a point because I consider the internet, etc. Possible improvements? Well, he said, I would prefer the car because of the comfortable. Comfortable is an adjective. He needed the noun. So I would prefer the car because of the comfort. Or a car is more comfortable and more convenient. And he said, the last decade has been very improving the technologies. That could be improved by saying technology has improved a lot during the last decade. Tatiana also had some very nice language. She invited Nacho to begin speaking. She said, would you like to start, Nacho? Would you like to start? She interacted well by saying, what do you think about it? And let's move on to. When you're speaking together in part 3, it's good to move the task forward, advance the task with an expression like, let's move on to this subject, or let's speak about this now, something like that. Possible improvements? She said, my mum, who hadn't a washing machine when she was young, better to say my mum who didn't have a washing machine. It's unusual to contract have when it's a full verb. When have is a modal verb, like in the present perfect, for example, I've been to India, I've seen a camel, then you can contract it. When it's a full verb, like for possession, I have a car, you wouldn't normally say I have a car. In British English, perhaps you'd say I've got a car, but then you're using got for the possession. I've got a car. She said our lives without them were very, very different. But I think she was speaking hypothetically. So maybe our lives without them would be very, very different, with the subjunctive would for hypothesizing or dreaming. Life would be better, life would be different without a washing machine. She said we can keep the contact. You could say we can keep in touch or keep in contact. And I can't imagine how much can improve technology. The problem with word order, I can't imagine how much technology will improve. I can't imagine how much technology will improve. If you want to see the transcript of the questions I asked and also my comments on the speaking, you can go and look at the show notes for episode 9 at inglespodcast.com. Thanks so much to Tatiana and Nacho for agreeing to be recorded for this podcast, and we hope it will help you to prepare for your speaking test. Remember, although many students get nervous about the speaking, it's often the easiest part of the FCE exam to pass. So try not to worry too much about the speaking and concentrate more on the use of English and the listening and the writing. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back very soon with another episode of PassFCE. In the next episode, I promise an overview of the writing paper and another interview with an FCE student. You can learn English free at mansioningles.com, and you can take your English, especially your listening, to the next level with our audio podcasts at inglespodcast.com. Our course for FCE, Mention First, which has been adapted for the new exam in 2015, is full of practice material, useful advice and realistic exam practice tests that will help you prepare for taking the Cambridge FCE exam. You can read more about the contents and you can buy this course on the product page of our website at mansioningles.com. And this course is also available as a direct digital download. The music in this podcast is by Steph Sachs. The track is called Awel. CC attribution license from ccmixter.com.